One of the most controversial recommendations by Dr. George Friedman in his new book, The Next Decade, is that the United States should adopt a policy of quiet disengagement from its main Middle East ally, Israel. To discuss this, Dr. Friedman joins me now.
First of all, I'm not sure that Israel is the principal ally of the United States or has ever been in the region. The United States has many other allies, Egypt, Turkey, and so on, and the U.S.-Israeli relationship has always been in the context of the broader alliance. We have to remember the United States did not have a particularly close relationship to Israel prior to 1967 and didn't provide major aid to Israel until 1974. So when we go back into the history, we understand that the United States got into this alliance with Israel for a very particular reason. The Soviets were very strong in Syria, the Soviets were very strong in Egypt, and Israel was a bulwark against it. And that relationship was extremely important. It was very low cost for the United States compared to the threat, and it was valuable. That was during the Cold War. Following the Cold War, U.S. relationships with many countries are changing. The U.S.-German relationship has changed fairly significantly. After the Cold War, the U.S.-Chinese relationship changed. All I'm suggesting is that the foundations of the U.S. alliance that really begins in 1967 in the context of the Cold War must be re-examined in the context of current reality. Give you one example. The United States gives the same amount of aid every year to Israel, about $3 billion a year, roughly. In 1974, this was 25% of the Israeli GDP. Now it's less than 2%. It's not simply a question the United States needs or doesn't need Israel. It's also a question, to what extent does Israel need the United States? A nation should have foreign relations that satisfy its current needs, not sentiment. Israel and the United States have common interests, and they should be pursued. But you can't define the relationship the same way it was defined in 1967 or 1974. It has changed, and one of the things that the United States has to do is recognize the change that will take place.
What will the powerful Jewish lobby in the United States do if this happens?
Well, it is happening. The change is taking place. And I think, the myth of the powerful Jewish lobby always has to be balanced by the fact that from 1948 to 1967, the United States gave nothing to Israel, and the lobby couldn't force to do it, and to recognize the fact that there were strategic reasons for the relationship with Israel. I think also to recognize the fact that the American Jewish community is split. There's not one voice speaking for the American Jewish community. There are many who dislike the current government, many who applaud it greatly, but certainly the American Republic can't shape its foreign policy based on that principle. So undoubtedly, the lobbyists will be extremely upset by this thought. But even the head of the Mossad, Meir Dagan, said that there's tectonic changes taking place in U.S.-Israeli relations, that they're not going to be the same. Serious thinkers in Israel, as in the United States, have reached the same conclusion. Whether the lobbyists do or not, well, they're paid to lobby.
Should the United States then still guarantee Israel's security?
I don't know what it ever meant to guarantee anyone's security. I mean, the United States has difficulty enough guaranteeing its own troops in Iraq or Afghanistan. The United States has always guaranteed that it would supply weapons to Israel if it were attacked. Well, no one is in a position to attack Israel. There is no Egyptian army standing on the other side of the Suez Canal. The Syrians are certainly no challenge to it. So Israel's existence is not in danger, or in any conceivable way could be in danger. And the second thing is, when you write a check, you have to put a sum on there. And what does it mean if we write the check to guarantee any country's security? No, that was a phrase, that was a slogan that was useful for politicians. But at no time was the United States in a position to guarantee Israel's security. And today there is no need to guarantee Israel's security. Israel is doing quite a good job of it itself.
And Dr. Friedman's book, The Next Decade, is published by Doubleday and available from good bookshops, or you can order it online at www.stratfor.com. Thanks for your time today. In the next part of this conversation, we'll be talking about Afghanistan and what the future holds there. Until then, goodbye.